What's up, guys? Welcome to the seventh episode of the Hot Corner podcast. Today we have both Tyler and Alex, like usual. Um, we're going to be going through just the league, what's happened the past few weeks, the difference of conference and the standings. Then we're going to revert to Alex talking about some of the some problems in the Timberwolves and injuries kind of derailing it a little bit. And then the last segment will be our contender or pretender discussion for certain teams. So, all right, let's get into it. So, we're looking at the standings in the East. You got Boston, Milwaukee, Brooklyn's taken the 3 spot. They were the 2 spot, but Milwaukee has taken that again. Cleveland at the 4, Philadelphia at the 5, Indy at the 6, Miami at the 7 spot, New York 8. West, New Orleans is 1, Denver's 2, Memphis is 3, Clippers are 4, Kings are 5, Dallas is 6, Phoenix 7, Portland 8. Looking at this, obviously Boston's going to be the number 1 seed throughout the East the rest of the year. I don't see them dropping. They have the best record in the league. They play the best offense. They play the best defense. They kind of just play all around good basketball. Jason Tatum's playing MVP type level. Jaylen Brown's a really good second option, could be a good number 1 for a different team. And then you got Robert Williams coming back, playing good defense. Al Horford's coming back, playing well. Marcus Smart's still there. All those guys, all the pieces are coming together. And then you got New Orleans. No one really suspected them to be the number 1 spot, but they've played up to the expectation and they've been winning a lot of games. They have a very high scoring offense when Zion is playing the point guard. So defense is middle pack, average to a little bit of above, but the offense is really good. So that's a little quick recap. We wanted to get into some things that happened a couple days ago. Luka dropping 60 points in the comeback win against New York. I was watching that game and I turned it off when they were down by 10 with 50 seconds to go in the fourth. And then they came back, got the notification that Luka dropped 60 and won the game. So tough.
Still not. He's below James Harden in that standing. So
Yeah.
James is better.
No. James Harden couldn't dream of a performance like that.
Actually, he did better than him. Actually,
Yeah, we go back to that stat.
That is true. I should refine kind of what I'm saying though. I don't think James Harden is on the level of Luka Doncic. That's my hot leaving 2022 take.
All right.
Okay.
I think right now Luka is obviously top 3 in the league. Harden's top 20, not top 10, but he's top 20. But you could argue back in the day, Harden was a top 3 player in the league. So
top 2 because
I mean, he won the MVP in 2018, right? 17, 18?
17, 18, yep.
He's a hell of a player, but I think to me what separates those two is exactly what you saw in game 7 last year against the Suns. Like Harden isn't that guy. Like Luka came out and just took the game like right away. And I don't think Harden had a few of those opportunities in Houston. I'm sorry, Tyler, but he ain't that guy, dude. He just isn't.
He's a facilitator. He's not like the main. I mean, he is the main guy.
He averaged 38 points a game.
Let me finish without getting interrupted, Mr. Politician. So Luka fits the role a whole lot better. As you can see, he's the go-to guy every time. James is a facilitator trying to dish out to other people, where Luka is the main key player in what I think is all of NBA. Harden can never do that. Luka can fill that role. He's going to be like the next LeBron James in Cleveland. Yeah, like the finals. That's basically going to be Luka all damn season. He's just an animal. I mean, you already see what it's like. He's like, it's so much harder scoring in European leagues, and then he comes out and does this, and It's like Americans trying to play soccer. We can't do it, and then Europeans come over here and play our sport, and that makes sense.
Yeah, sure, I
It,
guess.
but
Soccer is
but
a
doesn't
stupid sport, so who cares?
soccer is a stupid sport? But doesn't what you just said validate my point?
Yeah, no,
Like
literally, he was.
I'm
Harden's
agreeing
not
with
that
you.
guy. Like
I literally just
Harden's
agreed with you
well, right, but you were arguing that Harden is like in the same league as Luka, and he's just
because
not.
he is. I mean, he's above them. Like he's like well, not statistically, but the picture that I saw for I can't remember what category it was because it got so many god darn categories. Still did not do as good as Luca's previous game.
Yes,
But
So
that's
Harden
not what
still
I'm
has a better
talking
game.
about. That's not what I'm talking about though. Like we can nitpick games like all day.
Yeah.
Like Kevin Love had a 30-30 game at MSG. Like that's incredible. Like was he the best player that year? No. Like was he
Well,
LeBron James? No. My
I just
my
agreed
point
with you though.
uh,
what Alex is getting at, Tyler, is you've always been a James Harden defendant. Like you
Yeah.
live and breathe James Harden. And what you were saying was Harden was above him statistically on the best regular season, like the best regular season game by
Yeah.
that category. What Alex is
Yeah.
trying to say is you can nitpick all those games and yada yada yada, but like Harden never even came close to reaching what Luka's gonna do and what he is doing right
And
now.
and that's why I said Luka is going to be like LeBron in Cleveland in the finals all season. If you didn't catch that, you probably should have caught that because I literally just agreed with you saying that Luka is a damn good player.
I think we're where we were missing each other is like you said I was wrong and then proceeded to validate my point.
Yes,
Do you
because
not see how that's confusing? It's like,
but
no, you're
yes,
wrong
you
about gun control. We should take all the guns. It's like, wait, what? That
okay.
doesn't
So
make sense.
basically, Luka is going to be like LeBron. I'm going to defend Harden all the damn time because you already know that he's my daddy, kind of shit like that. He's like fear the beer. That's why we're coming out with this. So you can go dick ride Cat and Luca because apparently you favor that man like no other. Unoriginal.
Gotta favor the
No,
best
Everything you
player.
say is
I
unoriginal.
no, I never claimed in this specific episode to be a Luca diehard fan. I simply was pointing out that Luca's that guy. Like he's going to be that dude where it's like again at the Knicks, like, hey, we're down 10 with 30 seconds. Here, go work your magic. Like you don't get that with James Harden. You don't get that guy where you got a tough stretch with a few seconds to go. Like you need a defensive stop. And again, like I understand Harden had that stop in the playoffs in the bubble. That was a fantastic defensive play. Grant him that. But like you need that guy who's just going to step up and just take charge. And to me, in my opinion, what I saw in OKC, what I saw in Houston, what I briefly saw with
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, like Harden ain't that guy. He's not, as the kids would say, he's not that dog. He just isn't.
Doesn't have that dog in him anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, he does, but I mean, if you look at clips, you see how Luca's playing. It's basically the same same way that James is playing. You look
Yeah.
at the step backs and the
Lu-
dribble and the
Luca,
size ups.
but what
Can
I'm
I
saying is
intervene?
Luca. What I'm saying is Luca commands the game. Like Luca's the general. Like Harden is not the general. I'm not saying he doesn't run the team or anything like that, but like Luca is that guy definitively. No points, like no questions asked.
I think
So
that's what
And
we all can agree on.
yeah,
So
I think this whole argument has been really stupid. Um, so back in the day, I would say James Harden, like I said, was a top three player. He was probably number three, but he couldn't get up to that number one hype. I think Luka right now is at like the two or three spot, but he could get up to that number one hype when Harden couldn't because he was just kind of in a league with LeBron and Giannis and all those other guys who were putting up numbers. Um, the only problem that I see of blocking Luka to be number one would be Jokic because from what he offers at a center position is more valuable than what Luka offers, obviously, because he's a 20, 25 point plus scorer with 10 plus rebounds and almost 10 assists. Like he's almost averaging a triple double from the center spot. Obviously, he's not good defensively, neither is Luka. Um, but Tyler also mentioned you look at Luka's game, and it's a kind of the exact same of what James was doing in Houston. He had a big guy who he could do pick and rolls with. He had a backup big guy who could do pick and pops with. He had a shooting guard slash point guard who would facilitate a little bit more. Um, obviously, Chris Paul is miles and miles ahead of Spencer Dinwiddie. But they kind of have a relatively similar team because you look at Houston back in the day, they had Eric Gordon. Mavs have Tim Hardaway. Um, Houston had PJ Tucker. The Mavs have Dorian Finney-Smith. Like it's relatively similar what they have. So to be honest with you, Luka, to me, if they don't help the team, like if they don't surround the team with better players, he's going to be exactly like James Harden and make it to the conference finals and not the actual finals because you need more than just one main scorer. And that was what Harden was. He was one main scorer. And he almost did it. He almost beat Golden State, but then Chris Paul got hurt and it just didn't. There's always those little road bumps. So I think if we wanted to settle this argument, the only way Luka's going to get to number one is if he gets a ring. That's it.
Yep, agreed.
Because that's the only definitive thing that you could block Luka for. Jokic doesn't have one, but Giannis does. So everyone thinks Giannis is number one because he has a ring and he's been the best. He's been one of the best players out there. If Luka wins the MVP, he'll take that next step up, but he still needs the finals ring. I could see him getting the finals ring once Giannis gets a little older, but they just need to add more people. So they need to go out and trade for people, but I don't think they can. They don't have any assets. They don't have anyone to trade. They don't have any picks that are worth anything. They're in that stuck bubble like Houston was that they're going to pick up mediocre players off free agency and they're going to pick up one to two guys that are backups on the trade deadline, While there's other teams like New Orleans, Boston, Milwaukee, their front offices have a lot of assets. They even have backups that are assets to other teams. That's how they get better. So we'll move on. That was Luka's 60-point game. It was unbelievable. Even though it's the Knicks suck. I will always say the Knicks suck for some reason because I've just watched them suck for my whole life besides when Melo was there.
I mean, you are a Chicago fan too, so like that's kind of in your DNA.
But I don't hate the Knicks. The problem is that one trade we sent Rose and Joakim Noah to the Knicks and we got fucking Robin Lopez.
Yeah.
Those dirty
The
fucking
worst of the
cocksuckers.
two Lopez's too.
God. But yeah, so we'll move on. LeBron just had a 47-point game at the age of 38, the highest amount of points from anyone over the age of 38, I think it was, because I think Jordan scored 40 at the age of 38. So he has the highest now, and he is now on pace to beat Kareem for the points, the all-time leading scorer, obviously. So the Lakers aren't going to the playoffs. They're the 13th seed. They're not going to be able to trade anyone. They have to trade away
Lakers
people.
fucking suck.
And it sucks because Anthony Davis is out. So there goes their time. So let's just force feed LeBron the whole time so he gets the stat leader and then he can retire. So that's about it. Nothing much about
No, that's true.
Can I make one point that actually like upsets me a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. That wasn't actually a question, but so I remember I don't remember the exact context, but I remember having a conversation with the buddy. Actually, I think it was you guys about the Clippers and how good they were. And one of my biggest arguments against that was like, well, yeah, they're good, but they're never healthy. therefore I don't think they're good. I think the same thing with like the Lakers, where I don't think it's fair for people to sit here and say like, hey, like on paper, this team is like, really good. There's a lot of potential. They obviously got a lot of star power. Like they should be like 45, 50 win team, something like that. But it doesn't matter what you are on paper. It matters like what you do on the court. And if your team's unhealthy, like just because you're on paper, like these guys aren't available. So I just that's what frustrates me the most about this whole like Laker thing is like people like, well, the team would be so much better if they were healthy, but they're not. That's the team. So the team can't be that good if they're always hurt. Like, do you kind of see what I'm saying?
I mean, you just look at the teams that have been healthy who are in the playoffs, like New York, Portland, even Utah made a good run. They're the 10th seed, but like they have been healthy all year round, winning more games because they have everyone. The Lakers, obviously, they don't have a ton of depth, but I mean, if you have LeBron and Anthony Davis, there's no reason why you can't make the playoffs. But like you
Right,
said, they're
right.
always hurt.
Yep. And that's like I guess kind of what upsets me because like a lot of people will always like use excuses or use injuries as an excuse, like as a crutch. I just think that's like really weak and really dumb because if you got a guy like Anthony Davis who has got what 8 to 10 years of injury history, like then yeah, maybe he's just not that good. You can't stay healthy. You can't be good if you don't play.
It's a
So
lot
that's my little rant on that.
even if you try to keep them healthy, it's a lot of load management, and it's not
Yeah,
beneficial.
yeah, and the Lakers, like if we could simulate a season with injuries turned off, like, and we were to go back and LeBron doesn't get injured in 2020, 2021, like they could probably repeat, especially with Russ on the team. But you ain't healthy. You got to do load management. Guys are only available for 40 to 50 games out of the year. Like, I'm sorry, that makes your team bad.
Like literally, you take one player out of that lineup, you take one of the big three, they lose the game basically.
Yeah, yeah,
LeBron can
I
only do
think
so much. Anthony Davis can only do so much. The only thing I can see them actually working is if Russ was out, then Anthony Davis and LeBron could win the game. But
yeah, agreed. Yep,
so, um, what else has been going on? The Bulls beat the Bucks. They came back.
they came back too.
They lost. They were down by 10. This is the same thing. I was on PlayStation with Tyler, and you know how I talked about I turned off the Luka game. I turned off the Bulls game when they were down by 10 in the fourth quarter, and they came back and won in OT. So Tyler thinks I have to stop watching basketball games for people to win. So
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Like the NBA is so filled with talent. Like all of these, like the Wolves are playing Detroit tonight. Like, yeah, Detroit kind of sucks, and when they're healthy, they're not bad, which is ironic considering what I just ranted about. But like, dude, all these teams are really fucking good. Like, no lead is safe, especially when the top offensive team is averaging 120. Like, with how quick the pace of game is, like, what an exciting time to watch basketball.
just picked up.
Unless you're a Wolves fan.
As like the Wolves, like with Detroit and whatnot, and obviously having Cade Cunningham out is a huge factor to Detroit. It's like it's the same thing with the Wolves, like something that you expected to be good, and I'm pretty sure we jinxed the heck out of the season. But I mean, even like the Wolves now, it's like I thought they were going to be doing a lot better, even with injuries and whatnot. I thought we were going to like, we always have like a star player out there in our eyes, but yet we can't capitalize on anything. So
Yeah,
this Detroit game should be kind of interesting.
it's
I
just it's annoying because I think Edwards might be out tonight, Rudy's out tonight, Cat's out tonight. So we might be out all three of the guys. Means D'Lo's gonna have to do something, which he's done it before, but he's been inconsistent. Anthony Edwards has been inconsistent. Rudy Gobert has been inconsistent. Um,
maybe it's a good shot for the younger guys, like the bench players, to come out and prove their worth because maybe they deserve playing time over the big names that we have now. And I mean, it's just they're so inconsistent.
Dude, what the
Sorry.
fuck was with Milwaukee booing Anthony Edwards last night in the fourth? Like, big booing.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
no
I
idea.
didn't
I
watch
didn't
the
watch
game.
that game.
So I like saw some stuff on Reddit about it. I guess so. Anthony went down hard. Um, was down for like a minute or two, like holding his tailbone or whatever. Ended up coming back and ended up getting into the hole, drove and got a layup. And these were like some huge boos coming from the crowds. And I'm trying to figure out why. I was like perusing through Twitter, and like one Milwaukee fan was like, "Oh yeah, like people were booing because he like faked that he was injured and then just got right back up and scored." Like, fuck right off, dude. You got Grayson Allen, dog. What are you booing about?
Dude, such a
I think it's just Milwaukee fans. I
it
think that's
really
what it
is.
is. Like, no offense to him, but I mean, maybe that's where Giannis gets it from. Like pushing ladders over. Maybe that's all part of the fans. Maybe they're
That's a
finally
bummer
getting
because
to him.
I really like the Milwaukee team. Like, they're so fucking good.
The
Now when they
team,
push over ladders,
I know, and like it's just like they're kind of getting that bad the bad boy sense because like they still have Grayson Allen on that team. And I was watching
hmm,
the Bulls Milwaukee game, and Grayson Allen is probably the most hated player in the league because he just does stupid stuff. So our announcer, Stacey King, also one thing I want to talk about, announcers, you cannot wish upon someone to get beat up. Like you're in a professional state of mind. You cannot wish upon someone to get beaten up. So what happened is Grayson Allen, DeMar DeRozan had the ball, or was Milwaukee was on offense. Giannis had the ball. He was coming down the court. DeMar DeRozan was playing defense. Grayson Allen was going to set a screen, and he got tripped up by either Drummond or DeSumo. I don't remember. And he stumbled, but he forearmed DeMar DeRozan and shoved him to the ground while he was stumbling. And Stacey King and I forgot who the other announcer was saying like if this was the 80s and 90s, Grayson Allen has a target on his head, he would have gotten knocked out. Like he was talking about this dude getting like beat up and stuff. That stuff happened back in the day. We don't let that happen anymore. You saw the Magic game, they all got suspended basically, even for the ones that didn't fight. Like we can't wish upon a player to get beaten up. I get
but even
I get it. He's kind of a dirty player, and I get it. He makes stupid decisions. I don't like the person. I don't like him. He's a good basketball player, but I don't like him. He's had a lot of instances in college. He even had a few in the NBA already. Like there needs to be a point where the NBA needs to take it into their hands to review what he's doing and like put it onto him. But like an announcer should not be saying like this dude needs to get beaten up and get what he is deserved. Like that's just
well, even as like for announcers, I'm pretty sure you aren't supposed to have a bias. Like I know you're like announcing for that team, but you're not going to sit there and talk about that team the whole entire time. I think it's like the same way with football. Like you listen to them, and it's like if like the other team made a good play or something like that, it's like it's pretty good. You're not gonna like say, well, that shouldn't have gone in. He's trash or something like that.
mhm.
So I think just
the
like the
Warriors
players are doing their things.
the
The refs
Warriors
and the
announcer
announcers are
the Warriors announcer is the worst because anytime the Warriors do something, it's oh Curry, oh Clay.
mm-hmm.
Someone else does anything, and it went in. I'm like, bro,
Yeah,
what the fuck?
exactly. Like that's like John Morant like going in and making like a posterized like doing like a poster or something like that. They're gonna be like, that was pretty cool. And then Steph goes in and does his like from like the damn. He makes like a layup that goes like 5 feet in the air and then it goes in. It's like he's so freaking amazing. I can't believe it. I just pissed my pants with excitement.
Dude,
Something like that. It's like
that's what I hate about the Hornets announcer. Like, everybody's like, "Oh my god, he's so good." Like, he's just fucking obnoxious and he just screams a bunch. Like,
yeah.
that's not good. That's fucking annoying.
I think I like the Heat announcer the most, just for the fact that he goes bang all the damn
Bang
time. I
bang.
think that's like the only time that it's like acceptable. Other than that, it's like no, get out.
And I
And I'm not even
enjoy
going to talk about the refs either.
and I enjoy like older players who are retired coming in and announcing, or like
Mm-hmm.
big NBA faces coming in and announcing and stuff like that. But there's always going to be a
Reggie Miller's a fantastic commentator.
but he actually works with like a true sports company. I'm talking about like
True.
people that don't have those jobs. Like Vince Carter was announcing for um the Atlanta game. It was Atlanta was playing Brooklyn and he was announcing for the Atlanta game and he did a phenomenal job. But like it's he's not a very biased person. He played on 15 different teams. There's no bias for that. So, but like why there's going to be bias if you are a home person, you know, like you announce for the Bulls. Like Stacey King, he's an Illinois person and he announces for the Bulls, but he didn't play in the NBA. So like I don't know. And that's Stacey King was the one that's like Grayson Allen would have gotten beaten up back in the day. This needs to stop. I'm like, dude, chill. You're not even playing.
Exactly. That's the thing too. It's like let the players play. Like they're getting paid to do this.
Yeah.
Like a lot more than you are. So I, just let them do what they want.
Mhm.
It's their money. It's their career.
Yeah, they
Like
can.
obviously you can say it behind closed doors, but
I'm looking at the MVP tracker. Jokic is at a 44%. Luka's second at 24%. So let's talk about that. Would you pick Luka or would you pick Jokic?
Jokic right now.
I feel like there's been more said about Luka this season. But
A lot of different talk going around between the two, but I'd have to agree. I think
I well, I'm gonna go with Luka. I'm gonna say Luka probably deserves it.
I mean, Luka does have a good chance and he does deserve a lot of credit, but I mean, like I said, it's so much more valuable from a center position doing what Jokic does compared to what Luka does, which I'm not discrediting Luka. Luka's a phenomenal player. He'll get his MVP one day. I think the only way that the MVP is going to get to Luka is because there's that like voter it's like a voter awareness where no one can be a three-time MVP back to back to back. So
Yeah, true.
Well, I feel like the MVP race is kind of it's honestly up for grabs between a whole ton of people. But I don't know with how things are going now. I mean, we're what halfway through the season, and
Yeah, almost like 2/5 probably.
yeah. So I mean, obviously people have stellar games. There's still plenty more opportunities. Like someone can come out like Jalen Brunson can come out and do exactly what Luka's doing right now. And then who do
Yeah,
you take?
that's true. Yeah, Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, good. Luka did it 2/5 of the way. Maybe Jalen Brunson does it 3/5 of the way. I don't know. You never know. You got to be optimistic.
Yeah, you also got to be realistic.
Not guarded.
Shout out WSB.
Mm.
all right,
Yeah, I don't know.
we're gonna do something that I've seen from a different couple different podcasts. Most recently, through the Wire podcast that I watch pretty frequently. We're gonna do contenders or pretenders. I'm just gonna pick a handful of teams and we'll discuss about them. So obviously Boston as a contender, they always will be a contender this year. Unless Tatum goes down, then they probably won't be. Um, First team Philadelphia. Are they a contender or are they a pretender?
Contender. And I'm not just saying that because of Harden.
That's
I
why I
think
let you
they
go
are.
first.
Yeah, I think they are. Because Embiid is pretty good. So
I would
interesting.
say Philadelphia is probably a pretender. Um, Obviously, they'll make a deep run, but they aren't better than Milwaukee or Boston. I think they could compete. I don't even think they're better than Cleveland depth wise. So, what do
Yeah,
you?
I agree with you. I think that they are pretenders. We just we haven't seen anything substantial from them yet. Like, all of these teams for the past few years, going back to 2019, all of these teams were supposed to be championship caliber teams, and they haven't even made it to the Eastern Conference Finals yet. Um, I'm not convinced Joel Embiid is that guy either.
Mm-mm.
He's shown a lot of really good, prowess. That Toronto series last year, he was phenomenal. But I don't think Joel has. I don't think he's got it in him, to be entirely honest. And I know that's shocking, but
Did he not just have a 50-point game like last week?
yeah. So did LeBron.
I'm,
Does that mean the Lakers are going to the Western Conference Finals? Like, big
No, that's not
deal.
the point. But you're talking about, him being that dog. Is
Yeah,
LeBron
I
that
mean,
dog?
it goes back to James Harden though. James Harden, when he averages 38 points a game, I don't think he's that dog either. You
no.
you got that guy that. So I saw this interesting post on, it was Reddit or I almost said Tinder, Twitter. Um, they were comparing Zion Williams' game against the Timberwolves to I don't recall exactly which game it was for Philadelphia, but they're like, the difference between Zion and Joel is Zion went to the hole. He got his baskets. He went in there and he fought. He got those free throws. Joel Embiid just settled for mid range jumpers and missed a bunch of them. Like, to me, if you're a center as big as Joel Embiid, and your team is down 4 points or you're up 2 or 3 points in crunch time, like, Joel Embiid runs into the same issue that Cat does to a lesser extent, where he wants to shoot a mid-range jumper. It's like, no, go down there and bully people, and that's why I don't think Joel is going to be that guy who can. I mean, he has, again, hasn't even been to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, how are we saying that this dude is like a top three player in the NBA when like his team just falters in the playoffs every year?
Is that
I
his
feel
fault
well.
though?
I feel like this year is different though,
So what
because I
makes this
mean,
year
this
different
season.
as compared to last year?
I mean, you already see how it's going, right? This season's just full of surprises,
I mean, yeah,
and
Well,
you're
when
not wrong, but that could be every year.
it could be, but I don't know. Maybe this year's like the spark plug. Because I remember seeing Doc Rivers literally like talking to James Harden when they were mic'd up, saying, "I need you to run this team. I need you to do whatever you can." And I feel like he is doing that. If James Harden never got hurt, I'm pretty sure the outcome of Philly right now would be completely different. One, and I just feel like the chemistry would just it just be a little different because I mean when you don't have a main facilitator out there, you already see Joel Embiid can't fit that role. He's a grit and grind. Well, used to be more of a grit and grind player, and now he's just kind of like he just seems laid back. Like I remember Joel Embiid, I did not really like him just because of the fact that he was so amped up about literally everything that happened, and he would like it made no sense. And now he's just calmed down. Like seemed like he got injected with morphine or something like that. He's just kind of slowing down.
but I guess, like, how does that justify that he can bring his team to the Eastern Conference Finals or the Eastern or the finals? Like, that doesn't really sway me either way, call him down or not.
Well, what I would say is there's a little bit more talent around him. I mean, Tyrese Maxey has had an extra few games in a year now to develop. James Harden is healthy. He came
Mm-hmm.
back. They're building a better connection. They still have decent players. Tobias Harris is still there. Like they have spark plugs on the team. Um, I think they need to start, like Tyler said, Joel Embiid's laid back because the whole load management thing. Let the other guys flourish so then when it comes playoff time, you can do your thing. Hopefully that happens for them. I don't see it happening, but hopefully. Um,
Okay, so where do you guys rank Philly right now in the East? Like, there's no way that they're better than Boston. There's no way they're better than Milwaukee. Currently, right now, I don't even think they're better than Brooklyn because Brooklyn's just gone unconscious the past month.
I think
Like,
Well, yeah, that's a month.
I think
But
they would beat. So Cleveland might have the depth, but they don't have the playoff experience compared to Philly. The only one that really does is um, Donovan Mitchell, and obviously Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs is really good, but so is Harden, Embiid, and other players too. So probably underneath those three because that's just how it is.
yeah,
So
it's
New
still
Orleans,
time. But
New Orleans is the number one seed in the West. We don't have much time, so New Orleans is the number one seed in the West. Pretenders or contenders?
contenders.
Contenders.
yeah, especially
Denver.
after what Zion did.
I
Of
think
course,
I
yeah,
think Denver's contenders still.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
the one team that I kind of want to talk about is Memphis. They're the 3 seed. I'm going to say pretenders as a finals team, but contenders to compete in the West. You know what I mean? Like they could make it to the conference finals, but I don't see them winning the conference finals.
didn't Judge just get hurt?
Who?
Shaw, didn't
Ju-
Morant just didn't Ja
ju-
Morant just get hurt?
I think I think
Ja Morant just got hurt.
I think he's been off and on. I know Bane's coming back. I mean Memphis, they'll have a healthy team come playoff time. I could see them being just fine, but I'm just gonna say pretender for now because I don't think they could beat Denver, and I think they would have a hard time against New Orleans. Um, Dallas, contender or pretender?
Pretender.
Contender?
What,
Huh?
what was that?
Pretender.
What'd you say, T?
Contender?
Okay. Why
Wow,
you?
you think they're a contender?
Next team.
Okay. Sorry to break your brain. My condolences.
Brooklyn.
Oh.
They have Kevin Durant, contender. I'm just saying, if Kevin Durant's foot wasn't so goddamn big, they would have made it to the finals.
I'm going to say, as of right now, they are pretenders. However, check back in a few weeks. If they're still going on the tear, I'll change my mind.
No, no, no. You make it
Pretender.
now.
Mr. String Bean.
Currently, they are pretenders. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
So those are the main teams that I kind of wanted to focus on. Obviously, Sacramento, they're just a year too
No.
early. I think next year's their year. The Clippers, I mean, they're kind of in the same boat as Brooklyn. They have two really good key pieces, and then they have a bunch of other guys. But with how Kawhi is not playing like every game, and Paul George, has been coming back and forth, I guess. I just don't see them being contenders.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think that they're going to be able to compete with like the high-powered offense of Denver, which I get. What are they, like, number one or number two in the league in defense? Um, I don't think their offense is going to be able to hold pace. Like you said, you got Kawhi, you got Paul George, like Terrence Mann's okay, Norman Powell's okay, Reggie Jackson's okay, but like you're not going to get much out of that.
no, they've really been underwhelming with what I thought they were going to be. So
Yep.
now I'm going to flip this. I want to look at the bottom teams. So Victor Wembanyama is supposed to be this number one overall pick, big 7'3" European center who can hit the shot from the outside, can play good defense, has a insane wingspan. Kind of reminds me of a better version of Bol Bol. Let's look at the bottom 4 teams: Charlotte, Detroit, San Antonio, and Houston. What team fits best with
Houston.
you think?
No, that was just kidding.
So Victor is going to be in the NBA. He's probably going to start off as a very good pick and pop person. I don't see him being a very good pick and roll guy, even though he's super tall. I don't think he has the strength compared to most of the better centers in the league, so he's going to have to rely on his shot. And usually, most rookies, it takes them a while to shoot efficiently. So I think Charlotte would be a good spot for him. Him and LaMelo. LaMelo passes the ball pretty frequently, gets a lot of assists. Not much defense there though. So Plumlee's not going to be there forever. So someone's going to have to take over. And I think Charlotte would have the best opportunity for him. San Antonio could be good, even though Popovich is gone after this year and their team's just not very good. They have two good wings. They have Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell. Jakob Poeltl is going to be getting traded. Who knows who's going to be running the point guard at that time? They have Jeremy Sochan there, who's good defensively, not great offensively. So maybe um, Victor's a good replacement for Poeltl. But is there any other team that maybe could make a push for the like unexpectedly Washington? If Washington got the number one overall pick and Porzingis is gone, do you think Victor would be a good fit for them?
I think that oh man, Washington is such a messy ass team. Like,
I think it would I think it would screw up his development with Bradley Beal being there, taking up a lot of cap
yeah,
room.
yeah, you would assume at that point, Cuz would be gone. In my opinion, you would think at that point, like if they were that bad, like they would try and sell him.
Hmm.
Um,
What
I
about
I, I think Detroit would be pretty interesting for Victor to go there.
I think Detroit is kind of in that middle pack for me because they're gonna get rid of Isaiah Stewart. They're probably gonna get rid of Sadiq Bey. Um, and they have Cade Cunningham. They have Jaden Ivey. Killian Hayes has played pretty decent this year. They have Bojan Bogdanovic, but I think he's going to get traded this year too. So it's kind of up for grabs for him for a lot of playing time, which is nice. But Detroit, historically, since the bad boy Pistons have been on, and besides, let me reframe that. After Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace and all those guys left, they've been nothing. So it's been kind of a weird team for draft picks to go to.
Yeah, they've been kind of in that same like purgatory Washington has been in, like not abysmally terrible, but nowhere near competent enough to make a splash.
Now, if you are like Toronto, Chicago, Minnesota, OKC, are you trying to go for the number one overall pick now? Because you've just been bad. You don't even have positive record. Like, what do you do?
If you're Minnesota, you definitely don't try and tank.
I guess, yeah, Minnesota's a bad example because I mean, it would be impossible for them because they don't have their pick. So,
I mean, OKC is the obvious like yes, right?
yeah, they have three different picks in this draft, I think. Or maybe it's just two. I know they have the Clippers pick and then they have their own. So I would Chicago's weird. We'll see what happens on trade deadline. I have a feeling Zach LaVine will not get traded and DeMar will. And then like Caruso and some other key pieces, Drummond, Caruso, maybe Kobe White, but they're just at this weird spot that like they're too good to be bottom of the league, but they're also really bad to not be in the top. So Toronto, same way. They're too good not to be on the bottom, but they're really bad to be at the top. So
Yeah, Toronto over the next like month or so is going to be really interesting to watch because they should not be a below 500 team, but they show like little shades of brilliance, but when it's bad, it's Timberwolves bad.
It's just
it's
like Utah.
Yeah, it's a lot of inconsistent shooting and no defense, basically. So I think Pascal will get traded if in this month they are not very good. In January, if they end up being still below 500, like 5 or 6 games below 500, I think Siakam's going to get traded. So
Pascal for Cat, straight up.
I was just gonna say
Yes
that.
or no?
for which, like, who am I?
Would you if you're either one of those? Is there any scenario that you accept Pascal Siakam for Cat, Timberwolves or Toronto?
Hmm. If I'm Minnesota, probably because Pascal has played at a top 10 level this year. Toronto, probably not. But then again, it'd be very hard for Minnesota to have to offer up anything else. Okay. Hold on. What about D'Angelo Russell and Cat? And then you get Pascal and like whatever player they can offer, I guess. Like Malachi Flynn,
I mean that to
maybe.
me, in my opinion, that entirely depends on what point guard we would be getting from Toronto because it would have
It's
to be a point guard.
it'd be Malachi Flynn.
Ah, ugh.
The money wouldn't make sense either because D'Lo's making 20 and Cat's making like 30.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It would have to be like a Fred Van Fleet and Pascal for D'Angelo Russell and Cat, which if I'm Toronto, I'm not doing that. I don't want to take Minnesota's fucking sloppy seconds.
That's very true.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
D'Lo would be
agree.
understanding. Cat is just kind of iffy. I feel like that one is a real hurts my head a little bit thinking about it.
Everything hurts your head a
But
little bit.
is a valuable asset. But D'Lo, he's inconsistent, but he still needs to get off the team, in my opinion.
I don't think they'll trade Cat because they'll give it a full year with Rudy and Cat.
Yeah, it's the aesthetic.
Yeah, well, not only because it's only the first year, it's hard. It's not easy to get traded to a new team and come out guns a blazing like we were supposed to. Like not every.
Unless we had P. Bev on there still, then this issue would never have happened.
Well, they'll just pick him up in free agency for the
Exactly.
minimum for the vet min.
Exactly.
So, all right. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
Hey, I got
I,
nothing. I ranted
I
plenty.
was going to say something about the refs, but I feel like I'd say something about them every damn time.
Yeah, we also have a full ass episode of you ranting. So,
It's not my fault. It's Alex's fault.
Wow.
oh yeah,
Well, am I wrong? I literally said, "Oh yeah, Lucas," blah, 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 and then you're like, "Well, you just validated your point with validated my point." But yeah, water under the bridge.
so alrighty. Well, thank you for watching episode 7 of the Hot Corner podcast. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for all the support and check out the TikTok at the Hot Corner podcast as well. And we'll see you guys next week.